welcome back to Great Day for this Tuesday, 25th of August, and it is that time to spend a little time politically as we have party scoop for you right now. One scoop today. Craig Robinson here from the Iowa Republican to discuss things happening politically.
The Democrats finally surrendered.
They surrendered.
I
win.
Yeah. So a lot of things going on. And first question we had of you: who didn't show last week?
Well,
of note.
Right. So the fair lasts for 10 days. And I think the most notable absence was Rand Paul, who, I think a lot of people expected a lot out of him in this Iowa caucus campaign. And there are just times where he just drops off of the face of the earth, it seems like, in Iowa. And no presence at the fair. There were a couple of his supporters heckling Lindsey Graham, which was amusing to me while he spoke at the soapbox, but there was no actual candidate, Rand Paul.
I think the hecklers and protesters are my favorite part of the state fair now.
Right.
Me too. I was at Ted Cruz's thing on Friday night, all Friday night. And
I mean, all Friday night?
Okay. You didn't just get one Ted Cruz speech that night; you got two. I mean, it was a good event for Cruz, but it was very long and not necessarily my top item on a Friday night. But so near the end of the event, there was these immigration protesters, and I tweeted at the time. I said, these protesters, this has almost become like watching a hockey game, where everyone knows that at some point tonight there will be a fight breakout, right? And then we will cheer, and it's almost like these protesters end up helping the candidates they're protesting and not necessarily their own cause. So it's kind of like a hockey fight. Everyone anticipates it, everyone wants to see it, and the candidate comes out looking good.
You're right, because they get done, they get hauled off, and then there's a sense of victory there.
The funny thing to me is just watch the security people at an event. Because the protesters are trained typically to wait, and you get, you see like the Polk County Sheriff's Department sitting back there reading their phones, because they've been there 4 hours like I have too. And so they're really relaxed. And then all of a sudden, someone way at the front of the room, stands up with a banner.
Right.
And it takes them 5 minutes to get there, it seems, and then they haul them out, and it's this whole ordeal. And
Well, you saw a couple of protesters then, because Elaine Page, who was here filming, ended up going to the fair, and she trapped Ted Cruz, or trapped her.
Yeah, while he was grilling pork chop.
Yeah,
she grilled him, but while he was grilling pork chop. Yeah.
I hear the only person that knew what they were doing on the grill was Chris Christie.
Yeah, no, he looked like it. Yeah, it's funny you mention it's. That's funny, but it's It's great that you bring that up, because if you watch the CNN coverage sometimes of these candidates, so Marco Rubio shows up at the grill, and he's at the pork producer's tent.
Right.
And he's like, what are these things? They're pork patties, right? I mean, it's a pork burger.
Is that a hamburger?
Right?
No,
and so he's totally confused by this. And so he's like, what are these? And Congressman David Young's next to him, and he's like, well, they're pork burgers. And then he's like, well, what region are they from? And I'm watching this on TV thinking, what do you mean, what region? Like the region of the animal or what? And you see the big pork producer guy, he's like, it's ground pork. I love anything that's the best thing about the fair, or if you cover politics. There's another instance where I was covering Rand Paul. He was out at a farm. They're walking down this, and I don't have my camera on. I'm not taping anything. They're walking down to this other barn, and he's looking at it, all these cornfields. And he goes to the guy, how many migrant laborers does it take to harvest the corn? And the guy looks at him, he's like, we have a combine.
Right.
We drive around and we get it all.
See that machine over there?
It's funny, yeah. So anyway, I love the these real honest moments with presidential candidates where they really don't really know what they're doing.
It's also a telltale sign at the pork tent, especially. You mentioned how uncomfortable some people were when you give them the spatula or the tongs and see how they go, what is this device? I wonder what this, let me see if I can turn this over.
Right.
But he said Christie was number one.
I heard from the officials that he was the only one that actually knew what to do at a grill.
Spanky told you? Okay.
So there you
good
go. If that means anything,
If that
and you're
moves him
voting,
up, you know, maybe
that
he's
means
going
anything
from
in your
Now,
voting
did
ability.
ninth.
Trump go to the pork tent or not? I hadn't
No,
heard.
so look, Donald Trump was able to do what Donald Trump does. He hovered around the fair, he landed outside, and they carted in, and he wears this crazy like 1980s cap.
Right.
He just got it made at the mall. Okay.
And it's exactly what it looks like, you know, make America great again. And so he drives around the fair, and he's just swarmed by the media. And then, you know, that's all he really did. I mean, John Kasich ate 3 pork chops
Yeah,
in
good
30
for
minutes.
him.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's
Need to get Molly Schuyler here to get him to have a pork chop.
yeah, that'd be great.
So when is preseason done, and when does the first cut get made in this huge Republican field?
Yeah, great question. And I think we're like at the end of preseason, to be honest with you. And I think what we really need to see, we need the RNC and these news organizations that are having the debates to get real honest with people, because this is the point of the contest where some candidates need to be told no. And so the debate criteria, if you put it at 1 or 2%, a threshold really low like that, there's going to be 4 or 5 of these guys that won't make it. And we need to tell them no at some point, instead of lowering the bar so everyone can get over it. You know, if you're not polling at, 2% nationally, maybe you shouldn't be in the debate.
Right. You don't have much hope.
And I just think that's where we're headed anyway. And I understand the first debate's a little bit different, where they want to let everyone in and have a chance, but if it ain't happening, it's not happening.
What is the Republican response to this kid D's nuts that got thrown into the mixer?
We gotta mention it
Did you hear
again.
about him?
Yeah, no.
Okay, because he was interviewed by Time Magazine yesterday.
I want to know why they asked this kid for his ID at the fair. The dressed up, you know? Well, hey, look, there's a lot of weird-looking people at the fair. Are they carding everyone?
No,
Just him,
somebody must
right?
have tipped him off.
You know, I think the establishment and the GOP is going to reach out to him and put some money behind him, so maybe he could go against
23
Trump.
people in 23 different states have reached out to this kid from Iowa. For those people that think we're making this up,
And he's like 15, right?
15-year-old kid from
Why
Iowa.
isn't there on
Brady
the
Olson is his name.
An age. Like, there's nowhere that
Sure.
it asks your age. So anyone can officially run for president. You're not supposed to be able
it's
to.
not like there's a toll booth out there that, the candidates pull up to and they say, here's all the things, and they look at their, I mean, this was, you talk about this too much, you can end up having a birther conversation, where you got to show,
And that's one of the things he said. He said that'll be the next thing they ask me for is my birth certificate. So
I think it's fantastic, though, that you got a kid. Like, I would have loved to have been a kid, in this age of digital media and social media, where you can do something like this and get, I mean, he's been included in national poll questions. I mean, it's hilarious.
in
It's really
North
funny.
Carolina, what is he polling 9% in North Carolina?
Yeah, there's a lot of presidential candidates that are looking at him like, man, maybe I should have just,
Called myself
D's nuts.
Others have popped up. King Prescott Satan is another one who has just jumped on the presidential.
I think
bandwagon.
he's
That
going to have
one-
high negatives.
Yeah, that's going to be very negative. But this kid's making national news, which is very cool. And by the way, Brady, you are welcome to come visit us.
Right.
Okay, we want
He
to
should
invite
do
you.
that. He should have spoke at the soapbox. I mean,
should have.
That
I
would have
was
been
waiting
good.
for
It
him.
would have been
That would have
good.
been very
I
good
was
for him to do
waiting
that.
for him. So the fair's done. We're done talking about that. Let's move on. Where are we at right now with Republican Party moving into this next coming week, next coming month?
Yeah, so we really have two things going on. The campaign's kind of transitioning, I think, where you have some people who are really focused on the ground already. A guy like Mike Huckabee, who's in the state today again, I think, he's really been laying groundwork out in the rural parts of the county. It's not flashy, it's not glitzy, but it's hard work. And I think what you'll see now is you're going to see more of an effort for Jeb Bush, Scott Walker, all these other candidates to get out there and really start pounding the pavement in Iowa, building some momentum into the final months of this race. So.
Yeah. All right, very well done. Well, speaking of momentum, before we go, I just want to show you something you might not have seen already.
All right.
Have you seen who was at Trump's latest campaign?
Yeah. Kiss my baby.
And then Trump, by the way, in case you have not heard, I don't think it's out yet, but the Donald has landed. That's going to be the cover of Time Magazine.
That's that's not Photoshop.
That's a real eagle.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a real eagle sitting next to him there. So
And he always looks like that. Donald, not the eagle.
Not you.
it is 7:32. We'll be right back.